I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is October 25th, 2019, and today I'm going to unbox and set up a Ubuiquiti AC-PRO Wi-Fi access point with PoE, Power over Ethernet. Okay, so I bought this a couple of months ago for the purpose of setting up a network just for guests in my house. So we just moved to a new house recently, so I'm doing I've been busy, I haven't got around to it. So the idea is I would like to get two of these. One that I would do as a guest network, the other one that would be for everyone else in the house who normally lives here. That way I could put a password up for the guest one, and I could isolate it so other people can't get into my network because I work from home. And that way I can fairly freely give out my password to the one that I intend to share with the universe. So with that, I thought this was a good thing to do, a good thing to set up. So the first one I was going to set up is the one I'm going to use as a guest. So there's several steps I want to do. One, I just want to set it up, connect it to my network as is, and just get it working. And then step two will be, putting a second network in that has a different ID. And then step three would be to isolate it. This one, I'm just doing step one, get it all working, attach it, make a guest network, and start from there. So with that, let's get going on some of this stuff. So first of all, I'll put a couple links in the show note. Here is a link to the install guide. So I got the box, I bought it at Micro Center, about $135, a little less than $150 with tax. But this is a very, very basic box. Not much is in here. I already opened it up and went through it. So I do have, the Wi-Fi access point itself. It did come with power. So for those who may not be aware, one thing I like about this is this is run by power over Ethernet. And if you're unfamiliar with that, normally Ethernet does not have power. But you can inject power into it either via something like this that it comes with, or if you have a switch that already has it. I have a switch that already has it, which I'll go over in a second. But for now, I'm just going to set up here just on my desk and get it working. But if you look at this, you'll see this has got two connectors. And if I look at it correctly, there's the red says the PoE. That's what's going to come out with power. The other one is the LAN, so I'll connect my LAN in. And this one with the power will connect into here. So it's going to have my connection go through, but also add some juice and some power to it. So we got that. We got this. We also got some connection brackets, but I don't have any manuals. So I had to go look up and grab the manual. Another thing, before I go too far, let's see. I did not grab a link here, did I? I'll put a link up here, but I'll pop over here real quick. There's a couple of people on YouTube who are doing a better job than I will be. And the one guy is Crosstalk Solutions. So I'll put a link here to Ubuiquiti Access Points Explained. He does a lot more than I do. And I watched a lot of his videos and got some good ideas on how to set up. He's why I chose this one. And I would suggest go watching some of his videos. With that, there's this one, which I bought as the AC-PRO. There's also a word of warning. There's an AC-HD, which I'm not going to put a link in the show notes, but here it is on Amazon. You do not want the HD, even though it's more expensive. Well, I shouldn't say you don't want it. You probably don't want it. I'm using this for my home. The HD is actually typically kind of slower, but the idea is the HD can handle a lot of people connected at the same time. So if you're at a mall, you're at a church, this is probably something you want, or at a school. We have a lot of people connected at once. It's a lot more expensive, and it's for a different purpose. This is probably what you want for your home, versus you don't want the HD for your house. It's just, are you going to have 400 people at your house? Well, if you are, good for you. So with that, here's, I bought it at Micro Center, and I'll put a link there where I bought it. Also, here's a link at Amazon for the exact model I bought for those who might want to get there. And then for me, I'm not going to show it in this video, but I'm going to power it via this just for testing purposes. But when I get it connected, I do have a switch downstairs that I use that does have power over Ethernet. And there's a bunch of them. This happens to be the one I'm using. It looks like it's been out there for a few years, so it might be a newer, better one. It goes for $125, but then you have 8 outlets that can supply power over Ethernet. Okay, so there we go. So you can go through and read some of this manual. It looks pretty cool. Now, I'll put this let me put it back together as it was a second ago. So it threw me for a loop a little bit how they had it initially connected. So if we look at all this, it's all connected up. And we have this plate back here that is supposed to swivel and take it off. So you're supposed to leave that plate on there so you can take it off, kind of like you take off a a smoke detector. But they put a little trick in here because you don't want people stealing these. So these are probably used across networks and companies. You don't want people just going and stealing it. So what they have done here, and you look in this manual, you'll see this little tiny slit right there. And if you look at the back of this, you'll see this right here. Actually, once you see it, it actually tabs over. So when you close it, it's locked in. You can't take it out at all. But the idea is you have a paper clip. You can put a paper clip on here and stick it in from the outside. And then you can remove it. So once I get to that point, I will attach this. So there's a wall plate. I'll attach this to my wall plate, attach that up there, and then this will hook on. But then once it's hooked on, it's going to stay until I use this to pop it off. So that's kind of clever to make sure people aren't just stealing it, I guess. Not something I would worry so much about in my house, but if you're in a company-wide and you got a bunch of these, a little temptation. Next thing is this bottom piece. It's a little attached on there. At first, it's not simple to pop up. You can see there's some holes down here at the bottom. I don't know if I can show it right there. And so you can put a screwdriver in there or something. This just pops this whole thing out. It's soft and rubbery and easy to get to. And if you look at here, you'll see 2 Ethernet ports and 1 USB. The USB is for future use, they claim. And there's 2 Ethernet ports, so you can connect 2 of them up and set it up so you can actually, in theory, go twice as fast. I'm not going to do that. I have no need for that. That's way faster than what I need. It's faster than what my network can even handle, so I don't need that. And also, that also means I have to have 2 Ethernet cords going up. And we just had this house built, and I wired it up pretty good, but where I'm putting these access points, I don't have 2 Ethernets wired there. I'd have to go through and redo pull another cord to even get that, and I don't need the speed. And if I did, I could do it, but where I'm planning on putting them, it'd be a big pain to pull another cord. And if you look at here, let me look here again. You can see this one right here is the main, and this one's the secondary. So it'll say it right next to it. So we want to plug in the main. So with that, let's get this installed and going. So the first thing I'll do is I'll take this power cord and I'll plug it in because I need to give this power. So we'll plug it in, and now we've got some power going through here. And then I have my Ethernet cord connected to my network, and I will connect it to the LAN section there. I don't have enough cord to show, but you can see here the red one that has power. That's the one that's going to go eventually to my Wi-Fi. So there we go. We got that connected up, and I'll take this, and just to show you, I'm going to unplug it. But first, I'll plug it in, and it should light up. I don't know how well it's going to show up on the video, but it should. It's off. Oh, it helps if you plug it into the main. I plugged it into the secondary. Plug it into the main, and then it's starting to light up. It may be hard to see on the video, but it is. Oh, there we go. You can see it's lighting up. And so it'll boot up and start up. But right now, I'm going to unplug it. So now we're unplugged, nothing. And I'll go download the software that helps me set it up. Now, another thing I have that's not going to be in this video is I have a PC engine downstairs running pfSense. You can think of it as like a little small computer running pfSense that gives me control over my network. And I'm going to be doing some more advanced stuff with that later on. Right now, I just want to get this connected and working. And to do that, next I'll go to here's this download page, and I'll put this link in the show notes. Let's see. Let me go back. There we go. The simple one. UI.com, download UniFi. And I'm on a Windows box right here, so I'm going to download this Windows one. And I'll accept this, and I'll download this software. Now, I've only run this a couple of times so far, but it looks to me what they have set up is this software runs, and what it does, it runs a little mini web server locally, and then you can log into that web server, and it'll go out and analyze your network, and you can start setting things up. Now, you can watch some more of that the video the guy suggested. Now, he has a lot of fancy setups. You can get some other, I don't have a need to do anything special. But if you're running a small business, there's a lot of other cool tools you can buy from Ubuiquiti to do some cool things. I just don't have the need. So here, I'll open this tool up. I'll click on yes to say run. I'll say install. We'll get some coffee. Okay, and then we'll say start it. So I hit finish. We want it to start. It'll start up. And it should also install a little startup right here. So there we go, initializing. And for my purposes, I'm going to set this up once and probably never touch it again or very seldom. So I'll keep this stuff installed, but it's not something I'm going to go to very often. It'll be like a one time and every so often. Because I want these to kind of be dummy terminals. I just want them to access points, not much to them, not much control or limitations. I want the controls and limitations to be done in PF sense. Okay, there we go. So now launch a browser. It'll open it up. You'll probably see something like this where it's trying to be secure, but it won't let you. So you have to say advanced and proceed. Now you'll go here locally. And now I can give this a name. So I'm starting this network and I'll just call it Whiteboard Coder for now. Hit next. Now, I'm not familiar with Ubuiquiti. I haven't done this much, but it looks like if you want to, you can set up an account with them and you can use that account remotely to control this. I don't want to do that. I want to be completely isolated from that. So I'll say switch to advanced and I'll say I don't want right now, this is my own home network, so I don't really want to enable remote access. And I don't want to use my local account here. So I'll set up a local username. And just for the purpose of this video, I'll say admin, don't. And for a password, admin, normally don't do that. And then put in some kind of password. Some kind of email address. That's not real, me at Yahoo. Hit next. And I'll leave this, enable optimization, enable auto backup. Sure, I'll leave that set up. And now I need to give a Wi-Fi name. So for the purpose of this video, I'll just say whiteboard coder. White, and then a password, and I'll say whiteboard coder. At this point, I wouldn't do something like password, even as a test, because someone will jump on my network, But I'll say whiteboard coder. I'll say combined 2 and 5 gigahertz networks, which I'm guessing I haven't done any tests, but I really don't like it when you have something like this that can do 2 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, and you end up with 2 access points. I just want one named access point, so I believe that's what that's doing. I'll hit next. And now you see I have no devices. Nothing's connected because this is not connected. So the nice thing is if this was connected, it would see it. So it looks through your network and picks up on it. So I'll hit next. I'll hit finish. And so now this controller will start up. And everything's great, but nothing's connected. So now I'll plug it in. So if I can get the other end here. Come on. Gets wrapped around stuff. Okay, so I'll take this and I'll plug it into the main one. And so now all the power and the connection is going through here. It'll take it a second. We see it is lighting up and powering up. And then we can just let this roll and we'll see it detects it. Now I could stay on this screen. I believe on this screen it will detect it, but I can go over here and click on devices. And no devices found yet, but in a second it will look through the network and pick it up. He says hopefully. Now again, I'm being very simple. I'm only set up one Wi-Fi network with one name, one password. Again, I'll probably make a couple more videos as I set up my intended thing where I'll have 2 networks, one for guests and one for my own use. Make sure it's lit up. Yeah, it's lit up. And it's thinking. I'm tempted to hit the refresh button, but I'm going to let it go. because I think it should automatically detect itself. It should be automatically looking on the page and refreshing itself, I believe. If not, I'll find out. There we go. No refresh. There we go. We see it popping up. It found it. Now what I can do over here, I can click on here and I can actually add more links in here. I think I'll leave that. I did this earlier, so I think it's remembering some of them. I'm not sure. Okay, so here we go. It sees it, but it has not yet adopted it. Let me go click on here. It's talking with it. It's managed by others. Okay. You know what? I did install this as a test a second ago. And so it probably thinks I installed all that, set it up, and then I reinstalled everything. So it probably thinks this is part of another network, so it's confused. It thinks you shouldn't be messing with it. So what I'm going to do is do a complete reset on this. In here, let's see if I can show it real good. Right here, we got a paper clip to reset. So I'm going to reset it and hold it down for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Light went off. It'll come back on again. And so it should now it's more so available. And so I'm guessing this is my first time doing it this way. I've done it several times where I did reset it every single time. And so, yeah, you can see right here, it says managed by others. So I bet you now that it'll restart, it'll find it again. It'll see that no one else is managing it. And I bet you it'll capture it. But now I've gotten myself in a confused point where I think it might not know exactly what to do. Adopt. Okay. It probably still sees it. I bet you I could restart all this and I would see it, but here's probably another good thing. I guess I can click adopt. Username and password. Well, let's not do that. Let's see if you're going to pick up on it again. No, you still think you're managed by others. So let me close this. Let me turn this off. Let me just restart it again. So now if I restart it, and this should not be managed by others now because we're doing a whole reset on it, I think we'll be good. And now that we're restarting it, it should remember some aspects we set in there. And so we shouldn't have to go through that setup phase again. There we go. Okay, let's launch the browser. And now this is running. Now I gotta log in, but I did set up a password, admin, right? Sign in. Go to devices. And now you can see pending adoption. So now if I click on it here, you can see this is what would normally happen if it's brand new. Pending adoption, it's going to adopt it. Because no one claims it yet. Now the first time I did this, because I was going through this setup, it did interact with it at first and try to adopt it, so I didn't have to do this. I think right now, because of the nature of that way I did it, I probably need to hit the adopt button. Okay, now it's adopting it. I do have to hit the adopt. I do have to hit that. So now it'll provision it. But normally I didn't even, with a normal setup, when I had this plugged in, I started it for the first time and it found it on the network. The first time, as I was running the software, I didn't have to do it. It automatically grabbed it. Okay, provisioning. And then we should be good to go. Boom. We're on. So there we go. Now if I go down here and I connect to it, so I can go look through here and I can see there's now Whiteboard Coder. Click on that. Connect. And we're on because I used the same password I did as in my test a minute ago. So now I can see that I'm on there. And if I go, let me go on my laptop here and disconnect. It's connected for the Ethernet right now, so I'll disconnect that. So now the only connection should be through this Wi-Fi. And I can go over here and do a speed test. I'll just run a speed test. And we'll see that even without the dual gigabit, it's doing pretty good for my purposes. Now it depends on your network. If you got a gigabit, right now my upload speed, that's probably about the best I'm getting on my network. On my download speed, here's 93. I can probably do better than that. So let me actually, let me replug my network in. And let me disconnect from this guy just to show. And let me go run another speed test. Just to compare what my network is compared to the Wi-Fi. There you go. See, my wired in, I'm a little faster. There you go. That's about my max. 250, 300 is kind of my max right now. And there's my upload. So you can see, of course, upload speed's not a problem because I'm nowhere near the max. But in theory, I probably could benefit from having, well, I don't know if the dual would give me much. So there we are, 270 versus 93. Maybe I could do some tweaking to improve it, but also I'd have to go look at my laptop. Do I have the best connection? I may or may not. But for my purposes, 100 megabit download is fantastic. Life is good. I think this will serve well for me for a guest one. And I think I will be getting one for us too, because right now the one I have is a much older one where my max I think is like 25 or something. So this is way better than what I got. And I like the idea of having a guest Wi-Fi that I can hand the password out. And that way, if I want to isolate it, which I will, I don't have to worry about it. Many, many benefits. And also that way I can, somewhere in my house, I could probably put a little note saying, here's what the Wi-Fi password for the guest, but not let them near my own network. So there you go. There is the Ubuiquiti AC-PRO unboxed, installed, and working. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com. View any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username PatmanDenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.